Hello! If you found this webinar, you hopefully are interested in applying for the Ideadvance Stage 1 grant. If by chance you are looking for support and applying for the Stage 2 grant, you should immediately contact Ideadvance. Before we get into details, applicants should understand this is a grant. This means the committee wants to understand what you know, but they really want to hear what learning you expect to do in the program. A focus on the money will not win you a grant. In your planned use of funds and throughout your proposal, help the committee understand how you will use the program to advance the idea. Along those lines, give some thought to what you don't know and what are the biggest risks in your business understanding. Spend some time talking with potential customers and industry experts about the current state of solutions. Without giving away your idea, you can learn how your approach might make an impact. Speak with me about how to get this preliminary learning done. Along those lines, have you spoken with me to prepare your proposal? If not, you should start there. My contact information is on the screen, and I aim to be very friendly because I really want you to be successful in this application process. So, should you apply? Here are some ideas in considering whether or not you should apply. First, are you eligible? Does a founding member of your team meet the eligibility requirements? Now, not every team member needs to be eligible, but at least one founder does. If by chance you are from UW-Madison, you may form a team with an eligible applicant. And this team may apply for Ideadvance funds. Note that Ideadvance cannot fund real estate, direct consumer retail, or hospitality businesses. Next, do you have an idea that is impactful? The committee is looking to fund products and services that could be scalable and impactful in the market. Third, do you have a desire to learn? At its core, Ideadvance is a structured program designed to accelerate your business model learning. If you are not interested in testing and potentially finding out that this is not a good business, then you should not apply. Final note, the goal is not necessarily to form a company, but to vet the commercialization potential of your idea. So you keep in mind there are multiple paths to market, including licensing your technology, partnering with a bigger company early, or developing the product or service with a few key customers in mind. The learning you do in Stage 1 should help you establish a plan for the next phase of the idea. There are 5 main areas into winning a proposal. Please note that there are multiple sections in writing your grant, but these 5 areas tend to be areas that the committee focus on in their discussion. So let me outline them here. Most importantly is team. No longer will a competitive Ideadvance application consist of a single person team. It takes a team to move an idea forward, but teams are diverse. You can have a single entrepreneur who has a team of mentors and advisors, or you can have a single entrepreneur who is engaged who is engaging skilled staff in an ad hoc or contract basis, or you may have a team of students working with you. So let me help you creatively communicate your team and how your team will grow as you move the idea forward. Next is significance. The committee wants to invest in scalable ideas. Usually those are ideas that address a significant problem or have identified a significant gain for customers. Have a strong argument for why this is a significant opportunity. You might have a compelling argument about the size of the market, or perhaps you have an idea about the lack of current solutions for this market. Competitive advantage. Address why you think your team and your idea are positioned well for this opportunity. The committee is steering away from ideas that seem to have a lot of competition and may be difficult to differentiate in the market. But competitive advantage can be broad. Perhaps you are considering a niche market. Perhaps you have a unique team. Perhaps you have new IP. Let me help you consider your competitive advantage and ways to show your strengths. Finally, revenue model. Ultimately, this grant is about whether your business can make money. This includes nonprofits. How will your organization stay alive? The great thing about Stage 1 is that you don't have to have a definite answer, but you do have to present some ideas to explore in Stage 1. Consider competitive offerings in the market and their revenue models as examples. Okay, so you've done your prep work, let's write. Here are the elements about the grant proposal. That consists of the grant application, the full 5-page proposal, planned use of funds, and the appendices. I want you to note that the full 5-page proposal, planned use of funds, and appendices will be put together in one PDF document that you upload into the grants tool. So when you begin the application process using the application guidelines, you will be directed to our grant application tool called Foundant. There you will fill out a general form which includes the general company information. You should report if there is any intellectual property. You should identify the principal applicant. This is the person that is eligible, meets the eligibility requirements of the grant. And you will identify other key members with their contact information. And then you will agree to the terms and conditions of the award. In the grants tool, in that same grants tool, you will be asked to upload a PDF document that contains the 5 full-page proposal, the planned use of funds, and the appendices. So I'd like to go through briefly the full 5-page proposal, what the elements are, and how to think about each of those sections. So the first section is the executive summary. It's usually 1 page, and it does count towards your 5-page limit. This is your first impression with the committee. This is an opportunity for you to sell why they, the committee, should fund your solution or your product service based on the significance of the problem or opportunity you hope to address. You should convince them you will focus in the program and have identified a set of critical assumptions, and you should be able to communicate how your team will address this learning. 3 key areas that often cause confusion are the following. First, market attractiveness. Here, focus on making it clear that there is an important problem to solve or opportunity to exploit. Next, project impact. Here you will summarize the key learning goals you need to accomplish to move the idea forward. And third are the specific milestones. Tell the committee how you plan to address the learning. What specific goals do you plan to accomplish? So let's use an example. I'm not going to read the entire example to you, so let me take a few seconds for you to read it yourself. Overall, in this example, crutchin is an idea for a crutch attachment to make crutches easier to use. Incorrectly sized crutches is a big problem. What I've tried to illustrate here is that you want to underscore a significant problem, make it compelling, and so I put that here in green. And then offer a concise statement for the unique solution, which I add here in purple. Your writing should be direct and specific. For many of you, the most significant learning objectives are all the same. You may need to validate the problem. Remember, the problem pertains to the market need. Do you have a solution that someone will pay for? How do you know? You need to know who your customers are. Maybe you have paying customers and using customers. Or maybe you have several potential paying customer segments, but one market is more advantageous than others. Again, who's paying for the solution? Maybe the users aren't the payers. And finally, how will you deliver the solution to customers? What channels will you use and why? What costs are involved? All of these areas are places where you highlight gaps in your learning or your understanding and opportunities for you to use the Ideadvance program and grant money to advance the idea. And for my specific milestones, tell the committee what you need to do to address the learning objectives. Note, in your team description and your proposal, you should highlight what resources you have to be uniquely positioned to accomplish these goals. So here are some examples that you might be able to communicate. You're going to interview users within a particular customer demographic. Interview users with a potential minimum viable product, your crutch design, and maybe interview these hospitals and other procurement specialists who may be other purchasers of your product. The next section is about the team. The committee is investing in an idea, and this stage, the idea is mostly your team and the work you've done. Summarize the skills of the key members of your team, include key advisors. Focus on skills directly related to your goals in this product. For the proposal, think adding some detail. Tell us about what you've done so far. This is a way for you to follow on what you introduced in the executive summary. The detail helps the committee understand that 1, you can execute, and 2, you have evidence to support, maybe that you have a viable solution. So the proposal will ask you to address these key elements, which are included here in this business model canvas. Now, even though every element you are responsible to address in your proposal, it turns out that most of the time, the committee is interested in these elements right here. A strong proposal will emphasize the opportunity, current knowledge, and learning objectives for each of these sections. Note that the value proposition and competitive advantages are linked. So what type of detail is needed? Have you done some work already? It would be great if you've conducted some interviews. Maybe you've done other market research work. Maybe you've lined up other resources like potential customers or collaborators that you have a competitive edge. Communicate these advantages. How will the program and grant money be used? Communicate your important learning objectives. Maybe you have timelines. Maybe you have a threshold of success for your milestones. Help the committee know you have the resources to execute. So just a few small bits of information about your customers to consider. Your proposed business model might have many customer segments. If so, then a learning objective might be to validate and test value propositions and delivery channels for each segment. Each customer may require different lean startup interviews and validation testing, and each customer segment may have different distribution channels and revenue models. That's pretty complicated to talk about every single customer that is a potential target. So it's my advice that you pick 1 or 2 that you think has the biggest opportunity and or 1 where your team has the most skill to be able to execute on. If you've made it this far, you may be asking if a nonprofit is eligible. Yes, awards have been made to nonprofits, and all that we've discussed still applies. Here are some examples of learning you might do. Speak with me and others at Ideadvance about past experiences with nonprofits and learn how you may position your idea. The last 2 components that do not count towards the 5-page limit but are included in the PDF that you will upload are the plan use of funds and the appendices. For the plan use of funds, simply state what you plan to use the money for and approximately how much. We just need to know you're thinking wisely about spending the money and that the money is being used for approved expenditures. Note that you can ask for up to $25,000, but you are not required to ask for that full amount. About the appendices, think about what supporting documents might illustrate the strength of your team or your solution or your approach. This may include letters of support from potential customers, maybe advisors, maybe leaders in the field. Also, you can include key references cited. So the investment committee will look at your proposal with these criteria, but I want to direct your attention to the stage 1 proposal guidelines where you will get a link to more details on the criteria used by the judges. It is, though, very important to closely adhere to the 5-page limit. Judges have a lot of proposals that they want to read, and if yours is very lengthy and unwieldy and difficult to understand, it may be a proposal that they don't score highly. So what are some practices to help you keep within that 5-page limit, communicate important information, and still make it interesting for the committee to read? One way is to use charts and graphs to illustrate the significance of your problem, maybe your strength over the competitors. If you have a timeline that are critical for your idea, use maybe Gantt charts. Overall, pictures are worth 1,000 words, so the more image that you can put in there to reduce words can be very helpful for the committee. You may also combine sections if it helps you concisely communicate ideas. So within the executive summary, You may combine project impact and milestones. Within the proposal section, maybe you combine customer segments and value proposition, or value proposition and competition. Another important idea is to use bullet points to highlight key ideas versus long sentences and long paragraphs. You should be speaking with me early and often. I can help you think about your proposal, think about ways of communicating ideas succinctly, do a couple of draft reads for you. It is my goal to help you be competitive, and so I look forward to hearing from you and helping you move your idea forward.